Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name's Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and I'm excited to be back. I took a little bit of a break. We had a summer shutdown for a week. I did nothing but play Super Mario Maker 2. I love that game. I'm hooked. But big welcome and hello to everyone joining us live here on Behance this morning. We've got a ton of people in here. We've got Andy, one of our awesome moderators, one of our awesome community members. We got Tim and Tara and Kita and Ashish and Anna, and we've got Laura, Jennifer, everyone else, Eleanor. I can just scroll this for days. And I missed you all too. I missed you so much. But I'm back for the next 2 weeks. You're stuck with me whether you like me or hate me. Here I am. If you are joining us live, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm streaming right now live from beautiful Los Angeles. Thankfully, not shaking Los Angeles. The last few days were crazy. We had a 6 earthquake on July 4th, and then we had a 7.1 on a few days later. That was insane. I was driving, I was on a bridge, and the whole bridge was shaking. I was terrified. And my family was in from Canada. They don't get earthquakes over there. So that was, it's some pretty good earthquakes for their first experience. We've got Shane from Ohio, and we've got, who else do we have? We got a lot of people in here. This is awesome. All right. We got Netherlands and Spain and Portland, Oregon. I love this. I love seeing people from all over the world. I'm in boring, shaky Los Angeles. Alrighty, so welcome to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. If you're brand new here, this is the kickoff stream where I'm going to kind of introduce you to what the challenge is. We're going to do a little bit of designing. It may or may not relate to what we're going to be doing over the next 2 weeks, but we are doing a progressive challenge this time. So all the challenges starting tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock will kind of link to each other. And it seems, most of you really love that progressive style challenge because it's great for your portfolios. Someone's in Casablanca. That's awesome, Youssef. Really cool places. Boston, Joyce from Boston. Got Brazil, Chicago, Montreal. Cool, I grew up in Toronto, so we're neighbors, basically. All right, so let me hop over to my screen. Here we go. Boop. There we go. And here is the XD Daily Creative Challenge landing page. If you haven't participated in a few weeks, the URL did change. It's behance.net/ let me zoom in here. There we go. behance.net/challenge/XD. And the reason we changed the URL is because if you go here, we've got 2 challenges going at the exact same time. You may have seen Kathleen this morning kick off. Oops, I did a boo-boo. It's actually Daily Creative Challenge, isn't it? So Kathleen kicked off the Photoshop Daily Creative Challenge this morning, and I'm handling the XD Challenge. And a big thank you to Andrea and Melody, who also were amazing hosts, and they will be hosts again, I'm assuming. We're going to switch hosts up. It's not going to just be me, because just me is boring. So we want awesome hosts, just like Andrea and just like Melody. So we have Photoshop, we have XD. If you're into both, you can definitely join both of them. But we are doing the XD Daily Creative Challenge right now. And if you're on this landing page, there's a nice big blue button at the top. And if you hit that big blue button, you'll be able to get notifications when new challenges are available every single morning at 8 o'clock in the morning. We still have people coming in. We've got Juan from Costa Rica and Rafiki from Indonesia. Cool. And by the way, in India right now, it's midnight. So if anyone like Mohan is joining me from India at midnight, thank you for joining me at midnight. I'm passed out at like 9 o'clock, so thank you for this. So if you're brand new to this challenge and you don't know how things work, Kita's saying Melody and Andrea don't boop. Well, maybe I'll teach them the ways of the boop, but maybe I'll keep it to my heart. It'll just be a me thing. If you're brand new to this challenge, we're running it from July 8th to July 19th, and then right after that, a few days later, another challenge will start. So it's super cool. We got challenges all the time. So every single day, you are going to receive a challenge, and then you're going to join us in the community to, talk, design, whatever it might be. You're going to watch me live every single day at 11:30 a.m. If you're in India, it's midnight, which is crazy, but thank you. And then you're going to share your work. So let's go over a few of these things, right? So every single day, a new challenge is going to unlock. So right down here, we have our challenges. So tomorrow morning, which is Tuesday, at 8 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get the first challenge. And again, it's a progressive challenge. So what we're going to be doing this time is all of week 1 is going to link to, it's going to kind of relate to the same thing. And all of week 2 is still going to relate to the same thing, but it's going to be a little bit different. That probably doesn't explain anything. It doesn't help at all, but you will kind of get the gist of it as it goes through the challenges. And as you progress through this challenge and complete all 9 challenges, you're going to have a really nice portfolio piece that you'll be able to upload to Behance or your website or wherever it might be. And if you have questions throughout this process, I'll be here to help you out, give you a little bit of inspiration. And if you have questions today, just leave them in the chat. And Rafiki says it's 1:34 in the morning in Indonesia. Wow, thank you for being here at 1:34 in the morning. So if you haven't joined our Discord channel yet, let me hop over here. Definitely press this link over here, but boop, there we go. Here is Discord. And we've got over 10,000. We just hit 10,000 members in Discord this morning. That's crazy. That's a lot of people. We have so many different sections. You can throw your designs in the design feedback section. You can introduce yourself, let us know where you are, what you do for a living, if you're a designer, if you're a doctor who just likes design. We see quite a few of those, surprisingly. We have a chat section. If you have questions about XD or whatever it might be, you can ask questions here, tips and tricks, challenge suggestions. A lot of cool channels in there, a lot of great people, over 10,000 designers, which is great. So definitely join us in Discord and have a good time. Again, I'm here at 11:30 every single day, Monday to Friday, and then you're going to share your work. You can share it on Discord if you wanted to get feedback. We have some great mentors, including we've got Chris Cannon, Peter Del Tondo, Tim, Mo Best, Mo Beast, Mo something. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Tim. I'm sorry. Gus, and we've got a few Adobe people. Andy, I know his name. I'm just Samuel. He's in the chat. There he is. Samuel. And Cars. We've got some great people in here. Of course, Melody and Andrea are there as well. So that's kind of the gist of the Daily Creative Challenge. Again, the first challenge does unlock tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, but you can also share your work on Behance. And if you use the keyword XD Daily Challenge, we'll be able to dive in here and search through all of your amazing challenges. We can search by most recent, and we can just scroll and scroll and scroll. There's probably been thousands of daily challenges over the last few months that we've been doing this thing. So it's really cool stuff. And if you're completely brand new to Adobe XD, a little bit of a shameless self-promotion, but if you go to letsxd.com, I've got some great videos. Great, I'm a little bit biased, but I got some great videos on here that will take you through the process of designing in XD from the very beginning to prototyping to sharing. If you're a Sketch user, you can import your Sketch documents directly into Adobe XD. All the symbols are converted nicely into components. And, there's just a lot of great content on here. Again, a little bit biased, but I just launched a new prototyping page, and it goes through all the different prototyping features from basic transition to auto animate to using drag triggers and that sort of thing. But enough of this. Let's dive into Adobe XD. So we're just going to design some things. We're going to have some fun today. Again, this is not part of the challenge, but definitely some of these features that you're going to be using, that I'm going to be showing, you're going to be using throughout the challenge, all the 9 days. And we're going to start off a little bit basic tomorrow, and then we're going to kind of progress into some more advanced features, including auto animate and all that fun stuff. So today, you may have seen me design this either in a video or on a Facebook live stream. We're going to just design a little bit of a menu using repeat grids and some design tips and tricks. And again, if you have questions throughout this process, definitely throw them in that chat. I will be looking down there. You can probably see me glancing up and down. I'll do my best to answer. And we've got a lot of cool stuff coming in XD over the next few months, next few years. I've seen some things that we're going to be releasing at Max. Good stuff. Good stuff. And if you are going to Max, I'm hosting 3 labs. I don't know if I can say what the lab's names are yet, but good stuff. All right, so we've got here a 1920 by 1080 artboard. In this case, we're going to just be designing a very quick menu for maybe like a take-home menu, those Home Chef or HelloFresh type things. So we're going to be doing that. I just grabbed a rectangle and I'm going to just drag this across my document just like this. We're going to have some sort of a nice image on the side. And right now the color is white. I can change it to any color that I want. And there we go. Keith is asking, when is Max? I believe it's November 2nd through the 5th, somewhere around that time frame. But it's going to be it's going to be in Los Angeles, so I don't have to go too far. So I've got this rectangle here, and I need some images. I need an image to pop into this rectangle. So I'm going to hop over here to Finder. And the cool thing about XD, if you've never used it before, is that any shape can be used as a mask. So I'm going to just grab this really cool image that I grabbed from Adobe stock. I don't know what these things are, maybe spices, maybe looks like there's some blueberries over there, I don't know. I'm gonna drag it directly into Adobe XD onto the shape, and it's gonna automatically mask it. I can double click on it if I wanted to. I can adjust the sizing, and I can just move it around to get it exactly where I want it. That looks pretty fancy right there. All right, so we've got this little menu, we've got this little image on the side. We now need to indicate that this is a menu. So I'm gonna grab my rectangle one more time and drag out a little bit of a sidebar right here. And if you've watched any of my streams before, you know I'm a sucker for background blur. Me and Jonathan Pimento, we love background blur. So I'm gonna just enable the background blur here, just like that. And if you can't see that, there it is. Just turn that on, and I can make it less blurry, more blurry. I'm gonna make it nice and blurry. Maybe I'll make it a little bit darker, just like that. Ashish says there are spices, thank you. I'm terrible in the kitchen, so I don't know what these things are. Those look like Brussels sprouts. They might be, I don't know. All right, so now I'm going to grab my text tool, and we're gonna type out some text on the menu. There we go. We have this little, it's hard to see right now, but on point text, you have this little handle at the bottom. You just pull this up, and you've got really cool looking, text. You can just make it larger. I can rotate it if I wanted to, change the color to white. Maybe I'll just make this nice and bold. All right, Helvetica, it's an okay font, but I'll just leave it there for now. And I might want to blend this in with the background a little bit. You know what, maybe let's change this to, okay, we'll do this. We'll run with that. We might want to blend this in with that background a little bit. Now, of course, blend modes are not available just yet in Adobe XD. They may or may not be in the works. I cannot confirm or deny that blend modes are coming at some point in the future. But until that happens, one trick that I love using until blend modes are available is using a background blur to blend items with other things, right? So again, I'm gonna turn on the background blur, boop, whoops, I missed it. Boop, there we go. And you're noticing it kind of has this soft light / overlay type of feel to it. And I can just adjust a few, like the blur, I can make it lighter or darker, whatever I wanted, just like that. And it kind of has that blend mode-esque look to it, which is kind of cool. All right, so now we've got that in place. Maybe I just want a little bit of color. So I'm gonna just zoom out here, move this over a little bit. There's this nice, these might be cranberries, these might be spices, I don't know. We're gonna bring that in, and you're noticing the background blur kind of updates in real time. So now that that's done, we're gonna very quickly work on some of the cards. So I'm gonna just grab a rectangle, drag one out just like this. This will be the image. That looks pretty good. I'll zoom in here so you can see what's going on. I'll change this to, let's say, a darker color. This obviously won't be the color we're gonna be using. We're gonna be using images in a second, but we'll leave it at this for now. And then right below, I'm just gonna duplicate this, and this will be maybe a little bit of a lighter card, just so we can have some text going on down here, right? Just like that. And Alejandro is asking, are background blurs difficult to implement in CSS? A little bit, but CSS is advancing quite a bit there. I think they're on CSS 3, and there are definitely blurs that are available. Probably not to the extent that you can do in graphic applications, but something like this would probably be exported as an image, so you don't have to worry about doing that sort of thing. But it could be slow on the browser. Some browsers don't support it, so I don't recommend going crazy with your blurs, but it's definitely, it's possible. So we've got a little card, and let's go ahead and type out some text. So this could be Italian. This will be like the type of food, the category of food. And maybe let's go for Avenir. Next is always a good font. Make that a little bit smaller. Pop that into place. There we go. Maybe I'll just drop the opacity a little bit, and I only have about 10 minutes, so I'm zooming through this. Keita's always amazed at how fast I design. It's difficult to design this quickly while you're talking to people. But there we go. And maybe here, this will be the dish. And this one I definitely want a little bit more visible. So I'm gonna make this a little bit larger. Maybe I'll make this semi-bold, crank up the opacity a little bit. There we go. This probably won't look that great, but we're gonna run with it. So we'll just leave it at that for now. We're not gonna worry about all the other things. Maybe we'll come back to it later on, but we'll leave it at that. So we've got the type of dish, maybe we'll add one more thing down here. We'll do this. This will be, let's say, how many minutes it'll take to cook this. So 30 minutes, and ideally we'd probably add some icons as well. Make sure this is nice and lined up. There we go. And you're noticing as I'm moving these things around, let me zoom in a little bit. There's these smart guides and smart paddings that's kind of like helping us throughout the process. And I can just grab all these, make sure they're all aligned. Again, there's those smart guides. But if you need actual guides, you can go over to the side here and just pull out some guides just like that to make sure everything is perfectly aligned, especially if you're not working in the same group or same component. So we've got that. And maybe over here in the middle, this will be how many people? 2 people. There we go. And then over here, this will be a star rating. Let's say 4.5. And I'll make sure to justify that over to the right and pop it over here. And again, I probably have some icons for some of these things, but for now, we'll just leave it at that. So we have our first card, right? Now, some of you may know where I'm going with this. Repeat grids. I love repeat grids. It's been in XD since the very beginning. You know, a thing like this, you really don't want to have to grab one card, duplicate it, update the content, duplicate it again, update the content. It's just a bit of a pain, right? Let me make this a little bit longer. And you're noticing responsive resize works really nicely. Hey, Sam, welcome. All right, so what we're gonna do, we have this one card selected. It can be in a group, it can not be in a group, whatever you want. And I'm just gonna go over here to the right and hit the repeat grid button. Boop, there we go. And once that's done, we have these new handles. We have one over here to the right, and we have one to the bottom. And this will allow us to just drag out additional cards across our document. So I'll do 3 across, and let's say I'll do 3 going down. So now we have 9 dishes on this menu. And I can just increase the padding just like this. And you're gonna be using repeat grids quite a bit throughout this process, throughout these next 2 weeks. And honestly, I use repeat grids for pretty much everything because they're just so they just save you a ton of time, which is great. So Greg was asking, would it be a good idea to make it a component? That's a very good question, Greg. So the answer is yes, and it's also no. If you're dealing with things like images, the answer is no. If you're dealing with things like text that you're going to be dragging text files into a repeat grid, the answer is no. However, if you're dealing with things that you may want to change, like a heart icon or a bookmark icon, the answer is definitely yes. And if I have a little bit of time, I'll show you why. So I've got this repeat grid set up. We've got 9 cards that we created really quickly. And Joss is asking, what's the context for what you're making? Is it related to the challenge tomorrow? Not completely, but a lot of these things that I'm showing will be definitely used in the challenge. I don't want to give away the challenge just yet, so it's not going to be food related. But again, you'll be using repeat grids, you'll be using images and that sort of thing. So I've got these cards set up. Now we need some content. So I'm going to go back over to Finder, and I have these great images of food. I'm going to just grab all of these. I'm going to have 9 of them selected. And you don't have to worry about dragging one at a time. You can just grab all 9 of them, drag them into any of the cards. Let me just drag it into this one. And it's automatically going to pop those images directly into the grid. And now you have a really nice looking menu, right? But you also, Catalina's saying XD should add boop sounds. Yes, they should. I've been bothering the engineers to add a boop sound, even like as an Easter egg. That'd be really cool. So I've got all of these images directly into the repeat grid. It looks great. But I also have, this over here is probably not Italian. It obviously is not called dish, right? So back over in Finder, I also have a plain text document. And these are just the dishes that kind of relate to the content. And all I have to do, just like I did with my images, is drag this plain text document onto any of these text layers that says dish, and it automatically populates throughout the grid. Now, you're probably noticing that some of them don't line up perfectly, so I can go in here and double click and change the name of that text layer, or what I should have done is make sure that all of these are in order. So what it does is XD looks at the alphabetical order of your images, right? So this would be number 1, this would be number 2, 3, 4, and I would make sure that the text image or the text document kind of relates to that. That way, when you're dragging things into a repeat grid, you don't have to worry about things being misaligned. But for now, we'll just leave it at this. So now that we've got our grid set up, what if we wanted to add something to this grid, right? And Greg was talking earlier about adding components and working with other things. So what if we wanted like a little bit of a heart icon? Well, let me hop over to Nucleo for a second, which is an icon manager that I use quite often. Let me drag it over here, and I'm just gonna search heart. Of course, I could use the pen tool to create a heart icon, but I'm lazy. And it's okay to be lazy. So I'm gonna go inside of one of the repeat grid cards, and I'm just gonna drag this little heart into Adobe XD, and you're noticing if I pan around, that heart icon is now being added to all the repeat grids, right? Maybe I'll just pop it right here so it doesn't blend too much with the background. And I'll make it a little bit smaller. And as I'm doing that, everything's updating really nicely. Now, the problem with this, and I'll get to the solution in a second, the problem with this is if I wanted to, let's say, have started out as a border, and then when someone clicks on it, or, you know, if I'm designing to show kind of what that would look like, it would fill in. So if I were to go to, let's say, this second card, grab this heart icon, right? And then fill it in with black, or even let's go for red. What you're going to notice is that if I pan to any of the other ones, it also fills in with black or with red, right? Which is what I don't want. I want some of the repeat grid cards to have a filled in heart and some of them to not have a filled in heart. So let me undo this. And the solution is kind of what Greg was alluding to earlier, is that you can use components. Now, if you were to use a component on the images, the repeat grid would kind of not work as it should. But if you were to grab this heart, let me make the border a little bit thicker. There we go. If I were to grab this heart icon and turn this into a component, so I can right click on it and make component, and you're going to notice that it is now present in my components section in the assets panel. Now that it's a component, components, as you may know, can be overridden. So now I can go into my second heart. Let me zoom in here and you can see both of these. I can go into this heart here, turn on the fill, set the fill to red, and you're noticing only that heart was overridden. So even though it's within a repeat grid, which does keep all elements in sync, because it's a component, it can now be used as a repeat grid, or overridden, right? Joyce is asking, could XD pull from a CSV file? Oh, Joyce, I have something for you. Let's do this very quickly because we're running out of time. So let me go back over to Chrome, and over here I have a food menu. And you might fall into the situation where you're working with a marketing team or you're working with others who are in control of data, right? And they may have provided me this spreadsheet with dishes and food types and prep time, all the information that I have on that card. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to grab the URL. It's got to be a public sheet, but again, only people who have access to that link will be able to access your data. So I'm going to copy this URL, hop back over to Adobe XD. I'm going to select the repeat grid, and then in my plugins panel, which is fairly new as of XD20, I believe, I've got installed Google Sheets plugin right over here. And if you don't have the Google Sheets plugin installed, press the plus button at the top. You can browse through so many different plugins. Here's a few that are recently released, but I do have Google Sheets installed. I'm going to go for paste public link, but if you do have a local CSV file, you can do that as well. So I'm going to go ahead, paste the public link, paste, and continue. Now, what you're supposed to do at this point is match up the columns within the Google Sheet with your layer names in Adobe XD. So what you should do from the beginning is make sure that, let's say this over here is called dish, and then maybe this one here is called minutes or something like that. But for now, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to manually map some of those that did not get mapped. So paste public link one more time. I'm going to continue. And if you can't tell, I love the Google Sheets plugin. I just recently released a video that kind of covers exactly this. So I'm going to make sure that dish, and you're noticing here we've got Google Sheets, and these are all the columns, and over here all the XD elements. So dish is just like that. You know what? I don't know what the image is called. So let me hop back over here. I'm going to name this image, make sure they all updated. They did all update. Perfect. I'm going to make sure to name this dish. Perfect. Okay. So back over here, plugins, Google Sheet, paste public link, continue. So we've got image map to image, dish map to dish, Italian map to, I think this was, what was this one? I don't know. What am I doing? Let me go back over here. Repeat grid. All right, we've got dish is that. We've got 4.5. This will be rating. Rating. People. Minutes. And what do I have over here? I have food type. Food type. Perfect. I'm making sure everything, prep time. Prep. I have like 20 seconds left. All right, here we go. And people, okay, perfect. All right, let's do this. Select the repeat grid, go to the plugins, paste public link, paste it, go, go, go. Okay, you're noticing everything is kind of really nicely lining up. And when I press apply, all that data starts coming through. So you're noticing all the dishes, all the categories, 15 minutes, one person, the ratings all also updated. The images rearrange themselves. And the cool thing is if your marketing person goes back and makes some changes to the Google Sheet, all you have to do is go back to Google Sheets, refresh content, and all that content will come through. So if you want more information on this, go to letsxd.com. I have a video there. Super cool stuff. I got to run. We have another stream coming up in just a few minutes, more UI and UX goodness. And Greg is counting down. But that'll be it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow at 11:30. Also, look for the challenge that's coming 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And that will just about do it. So thanks, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow.